Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. And we'll be looking at a very interesting topic, leveraging HR metrics for strategic impact. Leveraging HR metrics for strategic impact. And we have a veteran HR practitioner by name of Mr. Fola Vincent. And just because of some of us who may not know him, I'm going to read a little about his profile so that we can get better acquainted with him. And we can, of course, pay rapt attention and listen to his wealth of experience and gain valuable insights to take our career further and also deepen our capacity to add value on the job. Fola Vincent is a seasoned HR professional, learning and development specialist, speaker, and leadership coach with a diverse industry background spanning 10 years, 10 quality years. He has a track record of successfully implementing HR strategies and learning and development initiatives that foster business growth, promote employee engagement, and cultivate a positive organizational culture. Fola is a skilled HR consultant with a track record of designing and executing HR tactical programs and initiatives that enable organizations to achieve their business goals. In addition to this, he helps organizations tackle complicated people and organizational problems. He is highly respected as a reliable HR advisor by top executives as he offers expert guidance on human resource matters that affect the company's bottom line. And I can also even add top line too. Fola is a certified member of CHIHRM and a practitioner member of Institute of Business Psychology. He holds a Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry Education, Master's in Education in Counseling Psychology, and an MBA in Business Innovation, Growth, and Sustainability. He's also a PhD scholar in Personnel Psychology, University of the Best and the Best. Fola is currently the team lead, Faculty Management at First City Monumental Bank, with MOG representing how happy we are tonight to have this special resource with us. Let's celebrate and welcome as we receive to the virtual lecture, Mr. Fola.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluyemi Adeoshu. And, I really want to appreciate you for what you are doing in this HR space, for creating a platform that actually help, young professionals and even experienced HR to scale in this landscape. Whether you like it or not, we have so many HR professionals that are struggling with this profession, and your platform has really been helping people to scale. So I want to say thank you for that. And I really want to say thank you to all of us that have joined us. I'm currently seeing about 20 participants, and that's very great. Without wasting much of our time today, we just go straight into the topic. And the topic we are looking at today is leveraging HR metrics for strategic impact. And we'll quickly look at the people analytics as it stands in 2022 and beyond. And the question is this: what are you looking at beyond what you are doing now in the HR space? A lot of things are going on. We will quickly look at it together. We have the employee experience, we have the reskilling and upskilling, we have the business impact, we have making people analytics about business and not just HR. And let me quickly repeat that. Everything we want to be doing when it comes to the issue of HR analytics or people analytics is not really about us as HR professional. It is actually about the business. And that is what we'll be looking at together today. And we're also looking at the issue of the skill-based approach to building teams. So we are not just building teams for building sake, but we are doing a particular approach by looking into the skill-based competency framework And this can only be done by the time we have data that we enable us, to create that. And we have the data translation and self-services. We even have the people analytics as it relates to teams and even people, development. This is the focus of HR and even the people tap into people, probably operation or strategies or development. And you and I, we agree with me that whether you like it or not, as we speak right now, organization actually needs more from us. So let's quickly look at what analytics. Let's put it that way. I would have loved to just ask you that, what do you understand by analysis? But let's just go straight. Analytics, we make use of statistics to identify relationship between data set to help firms address problems and make talent decisions. And as we speak right now, we discovered that most CEO are thinking that HR organizations have not been adopting HR analytics to advise, boards or even top management. So according to one of the report that we saw from the Basin by Deloitte study in 2018, it says that 50% of companies are using online assessment. Just 14% of HR organizations in the US are using predictive analytics to make talent decisions. Simply put, most HR professionals are not leveraging data analytics or HR analytics, to make decisions or to help CEOs or business leaders to actually make decisions. And there are different types of HR analytics. We have the descriptive analytics, we have the diagnostic analytics, we have the predictive analytics, and we have the prescriptive analytics. And let me quickly ask you this question. I know you might not be able to answer me now. You could actually go to the, the chat box and put some of those answers there. Let me ask you, what do you understand about descriptive analytics? And how much of it are you using in your organization? What of diagnostic? What of predictive? What of prescriptive? So let's quickly look at them one after the other, because all of this is going to form a foundation to what we really want to discuss today. So let's look at descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics is at the foundation of all data insight. It answers the question of what's happened in our organization, what is happening in the HR department, what is happening among us in our workforce, what is happening in the business. So this forms a foundation to all data. And do you know the funniest thing? Most organizations, they don't usually have enough data. Some of the data are usually the right data. They don't collect the right data. And when I join any organization, the first thing I really want to ask for is their data set. Can you show me the data you have from probably for the past 10 years? Let's look at the data you have. Don't worry whether it is a clean data or unclean data. I just want to see the data you have been using. And the funniest thing, I won't lie to you, most organizations do not really have data to show. They don't really have data because they don't do much of HR initiatives. They don't really do much. Or in fact, most organizations have actually turned their HR professional to administrators. And as a result, they don't usually have, data to show for. So then the second one we have is what refers to the diagnostic analysis. So from the descriptive data that you have, you could actually look at, okay, what is happening to organization? Whether you like it or not, data speaks. It speaks. You can actually write that down, that data actually makes sense because it speaks. And the funniest thing about data is that data is as useless as anything if you are not really making use of it. So you can actually use your data to predict what is happening in our organization, to diagnose what is the problem. Why are people leaving our organization? Why is our turnover so high? What is happening in sales department? What is happening in L&D department? What is really happening in customer service department? What is really happening in our organization? So you can use data to identify what is actually happening or the patterns of behavior. Now, the next one is the predictive analysis. The predictive analysis attempt to answer the question, what is likely to happen in the future? Let me quickly say this. Most people they successfully create descriptive data or analytics, but they don't move to the area of diagnostic. Why most people that actually get to the diagnostic analytics have never got into the predictive analytics. And that is why you see most of those CEO, they usually think that HR is not doing anything. You know, I was actually talking with one of my mentees yesterday, and it was telling me that, do you know that our CEO think we are not working? Then I began to ask her so many questions. I moved from the area of descriptive into diagnostic, and I began to say, oh, do you know that if you do S, Y, and Z, you could actually get your CEO to respect you as HR, or to respect everybody working in the HR department. So predictive analytics actually helps you to utilize previous data. It could be like 10 years data or 15 years data to make predictions about future outcomes. This analysis relies on statistical modeling and forecasting. You should have heard about sales forecasting or workforce planning. You should have asked about, probably ROI. For example, now, if today we have, let's say, 10 staff, and these 10 staff are working to generate probably 5 million profit. They're able to generate 5 million profit. Then if you want to scale our business in the next 5 years, how many staff should we have? A predictive analysis will do that for you. And the last one, which is very important, and this is where I really need you to start working. This is the goal of all the analytics. It is a prescriptive analytics. I have what I refer to as science background. If you look at my background, I actually study chemistry. So in chemistry, by the time we begin to mix, how do I put it? By the time we begin to mix reaction together, reactant A, reactant B, then we begin to make some kind of assumptions. We could actually start from, okay, if you mix this and this together, it's going to give us this. We can make an inference. We can make a deduction from a reaction. This thing has happened. Now, that's why you see some people. So why do people just make an assumption? And that is the key word. How do you make assumption in your organization? How do you come to say, okay, we are making these policies, or we are going by this procedure? How do you arrive at those assumptions? How do you arrive at them? A prescriptive analysis will help you to make quality assumption, not just about assumption, as well as it could turn into a fact. Do you know that, okay, based on this analysis, we discovered that when we hire from Obafemi Awolowo, we usually have a low turnover. Or if we hire from University of Ibadan, we discovered that our sales usually go up. We make more profit. Oh, do you know that people from backup, they usually ended up becoming a better CEO? Prescriptive. So by the time you now begin to say, okay, we can only say, okay, by assumption, everybody from OAU or anybody from University of Ibadan, they are going to be our CEO. Somebody will ask you, how did you arrive at that? That is just number one, one of the things I just want to tell you today. Then today, do you know that in our organization, we have started telling people that you should be able to roll out a product that is, that is customer personalized. That is, there's something called personalized data. Now, all of these help you to provide solution to customers' problem. The same thing happen in organization, whereby you are able to use data to provide solutions to organizational problem or people's problem. And I want to believe that all of us in this place, that's what we really want to do. That's what you want to do. You want to be a solution provider. You want to be a change agent to organization. Let's quickly look at this. Okay, in 2021, Deloitte did a particular survey, and they discovered that only 3% of over 6,300 executives said they have the information they need to make sound people decisions. 3% of 6,300 executives. They said that they only have information from their HR to make sound people decisions. That is too poor. Even when companies have data, that information can be siloed by department or technology system. As a result, leaders don't see the whole picture. And that is what happened in most organizations today. We don't have enough data, or we don't have the right data that will help CEO or business leaders to make decisions in our organization. Is that what you want for yourself? That's not what you want, I believe. And for us, HR professional, to actually be creating value for the business, to, we have to scale up our games. We have to bring ourselves up to speed, whereby we could provide data that will help CEOs, that will help the board, that will help business leaders to make sound and high quality decisions. So this one will now lead us to what refers to as the HR metrics. What then is HR metrics? HR metrics are measurements that determine the effectiveness of your human resources initiatives. Like I told you at the beginning, if you create as many initiatives as possible within your organization, there is no way you won't have data. Because the only way we determine the effectiveness of any initiatives or the effectiveness and efficiency of HR department is for us to be able to measure it. And that is what happened when we begin to leverage HR metrics. We want to look at what are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we not doing right? What are we doing wrong? How do we make impact? How do we create more value for the business? And that is where HR metrics actually comes in. So HR metrics helped you as a person to determine the effectiveness of your human resources initiatives. It takes a data-driven approach to track and assess your progress and challenges. And that is where, as HR personnel, we've got to understand that data analytics or HR analytics actually make a lot of sense. Okay, it actually make a lot of sense. So let me ask you this question. You could actually go to the comment section and drop it there, or you could just pause and ask yourself the question: which HR metrics matter most in your organization? Which HR metrics matter most in your organization? Quickly drop it in the comment section, or if you are watching from online, you could actually drop it, or probably you're using our YouTube channel, you could drop it in the YouTube channel. And let's quickly look at this. Probably your answer would be as good as mine. Let's just look at it. So which HR metrics matter the most in your organization? So knowing which HR metrics to track is essential for any organization that wants to compete in the modern era. If you really want to compete in this modern era, then knowing which of these HR metrics to track is very, very important. So most of the problem you usually face in HR departments is because we don't really know what to measure. You don't know what to measure. Somebody met me last week, and they were supposed to create some kind of report to the board and other things, and and according to her, she was looking for the report that have been created in the organization so that she could leverage on the probably historical data from the organization. She couldn't see any. It became a problem for her because she needs to generate that problem. I don't really know how many of us are facing that kind of problem. You just assume a particular role, or for over the years, you have not been supplying quality data to your board, and now they're asking you to supply one, or probably just got a new HR director, and the director is an experienced person, and he actually wants you to supply high quality data to him. So HR metrics are only as good as their analysis and the ways they are shared with stakeholders. It is critical to report key HR metrics to the right audience. So like I said, I don't really know the answer you have given to us, but there are so many HR metrics we can actually look at, and there are about 14 of them on your screen right now. We have the number one, time to hire, cost per hire, early turnover, time since last promotion, revenue per employee, performance and potential, billable hours per employee, engagement rating, cost of HR per employee, ratio of HR professionals to employee, ratio of HR business partners per employee. We have the turnover, we have the effectiveness of HR software, and we have absenteeism. Now, I am going to shock you that as wonderful as some of these HR metrics are, we need to ask a particular question. Is it the right one? Please underline that word. Is it the right one for the board? Is it the right one for your organization? I was discussing with Mr. Adeosun today, and I think I know that he's going to make some document available to you there about 51 metrics, even more than 51 metrics that you can actually look at. But whether you like it or not, in this training today, we're also going to look at some of these metrics that are in line with the new trends. And the metrics I'm going to supply for my organization will be different from yours. And that is why it is very important to ask that key questions. Which metrics am I going to supply to the stakeholders in my organization? So another question we need to ask yourself is, why HR metrics? Why? So human resources activities and their impact on the company's bottom line could be measured. It is your duty to measure them. And according to Dr. Fitz-Hales, this is the first man that actually come up with HR metrics. That is the Dr. Fitz-Hales. He believed that companies will only achieve their fullest potentials once they could describe human capital's role in creating corporate value and demonstrating its investment return. So the man actually said, okay, can we measure HR impact on the organization? What is the corporate value that HR is bringing at the board table? How do we measure and how do we demonstrate HR investment return? So HR metric is an essential element of strategic management. It's a requirement for budgeting and planning, the initial step in benchmarking, the basis for assessing organizational and individual performance, supporting data in holding managers and employees accountable for their performance, and it's also used for compliance. Now, I want to give you a live experience which I faced in working with organizations, over the years. I joined one organization. I am not going to mention names here because of other things. So this is what happened. And we discovered that the budget for training is very low. You have close to like 800 staff and your budget for training is 4 million. How? Now, we needed to make justification for the reason they need to increase that budget. So I sat down with my team. How do we tell our organization that this budget is very low? So I know that we can't just go and talk to them by saying, the budget is very low and we have to do this, we have to do that. They are not going to listen to us. And you need to write this one down. CEOs only understand data. They only understand figure. If you are not coming to the table with your figure and fact, they are not going to listen to you. So I told them that, okay, let's do some kind of benchmarking. Let's look at the data we have. We begin to come up with data. We begin to do analysis. We will do all those things. I can remember that day, I have to prepare like 12 slide in order to defend why they need to increase the budget, at least, even though it's 20% or even 30%. And I need to justify it. So it was this HR metrics and analytics actually helped me to justify my budget. And at the end of the day, they were able to increase it by 25%. So my own win is that if I could just get 20% increase, I'm okay. But at the end of the day, I got 25%. So the following year, I need to justify that there's an ROI. And even where I am working presently now, at least for like almost 2 times now, I have been the one preparing that kind of, just what we call a training impact analysis. In social, that's what we use to justify everything we are doing in the department. So I have to work with the performance. I have to work with the employee services. I have to even go and work with the, in banking industry, they call it the FinCom. You can actually call it like the accounts, the finance. So we have to work with all of those people, get as many data as possible in order for us to present something that the board will make sense of, and they will be able to make decisions and probably increase a budget or even cut a budget. And I know that you don't want your budget to be cut. So HR metrics is one of the key things to use to increase your budget. So why are HR metrics so important? I've just told you why they are very important, and there are other reasons why they are very important. Feedback is required for continuous learning. Accountability, what gets measured gets done. So the only way that the board, the CEO, and all the top management or the executive directors, the only way they will know that you are working is if you are able to supply reasonable, HR metrics. Then they want to quantify the value of HR. And I think you need to underline that area. What is the value that HR is bringing? If you don't want your management to turn you into errand boy, administrator, you have to show quality. You have to show some kind of courage and strength through HR metrics. It serves as a guide, workforce strategies, probably workforce planning, recruitment strategies, L&D initiatives. They serve as guide. It also helps us to maximize HR's return on investment. It shows that HR contribute to business results. And on the final case, it helps us to make the business case for HR objective. And I like that last one because this is what I do almost every day. I have to make a business case for everything I do. Am I hiring? Am I getting more money for training? Are we getting more money for any HR initiatives? You need to make a business case. And let me quickly talk a little bit about business case. In Prince 2, I actually do a project management in Prince 2, and they made us to understand that a project will not be initiated until there is a valid business case. So the same thing with the CEO. They are not going to make any investment on any of your HR initiatives until there is a valid business case. And the one way for you to produce those business case is for you to leverage on HR metrics. So what is the major purpose of HR metrics? I need you to read what is on your screen. 70% of communications are persuasive in nature. Success at HR requires using numbers to persuade others. I am a facilitator of negotiation over the years, and we have discovered that there are 3 areas you can negotiate. And one area that is so powerful is this area of persuasion. And there are, you can negotiate from the area of influence, or you negotiate from the area of persuasion, or you actually negotiate from the area of probably you have a particular strength or power or relationship. Either all of them, persuasion is the key. So are you using the hand persuasion or the heart persuasion or the head persuasion? In this case, you have to combine all your numbers. Use the head persuasion. Get the numbers. Let the HR, the CEO, the boss have the numbers. Organization love numbers. People love numbers, especially your boards. Your CEO, they actually love numbers. Now, before we go ahead, there are some challenges with HR metrics. Number one is you can't measure what you do. People think that they can't, at times, majority of our initiatives are very difficult to measure. But we have discovered that it has become the things of the past. Because how do I know? For example, before I roll out any initiatives, the first thing I would do is to create objectives of that initiative. We're actually going to talk about the HR analytics processes. Don't worry about that. We're actually going to talk about it. So if any program, if any initiative actually have objectives and outcome, then it is measurable. So you have to be conscious at the beginning of any initiative that, okay, what is the objective? What is the business case of this initiative? What is going to be the outcome? And what is going to be the output? 3 things: the objective, the outcome, and the output. So if you have the objective, the outcome, and the objective, automatically, I won't lie to you, it can be measured. The second one is lack of clear purpose for measuring. You don't even know why you want to do it. Now I have been able to explain why HR metrics is key to all of your HR initiatives. I have made you to understand, because that is what you use to justify your business case, whether it is valid or whether it is not valid. Number three is lack of cooperation between departments. You are not going to do it alone. Like today, I've told you that personally, I work with performance management, I work with finance, I work with technology. We work with all of these things to ensure that we come up with data. Whether we like it or not, majority of your data could be with the technology, guys. So you have to find a way to work with them, because by the time you finish performance KPI, your performance appraisal, or anything like you want to do, by the time you are through with it, you can only get good data from the technology, because you have to download it and do something and send it to you. Although I don't know the kind of HRIS you are using, or the kind of the software you are using in your organization. Then number four is difficulty extracting data from multiple systems. And for you to make sense of any data, you have to gather it from as many places as possible. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you how you're going to do that. Then number five is difficulty understanding and analyzing metrics. Today, we are going to have a foundational knowledge. I may not be able to turn you to expert today, and I know that there are some experts in our midst, but at the end of the day, we are going to make sense of why we are here today. Then the last one is numbers used to draw inaccurate conclusions, because the issue of metrics or data analysis has to do with garbage in and garbage out. If there's anything I do in my organization, it will ensure that we have the right data. In fact, at the beginning of from the objective, by the time we are creating objective, we are creating the outcome. I am always very, very, intentional when it comes to getting my own data. I can be very hard, especially at times on my teammates or even the people I'm leading. I can be very hard on them, because I know that if the data source is okay, automatically we are going to get the best result as we go ahead. Now, pay attention to this area, because we are talking about HR metrics for strategic impact. Now, I am going to show you there is a shift in the way we look at HR metrics. And I need you to start taking note of what I want to tell you now. We have the efficiency level, we have the effectiveness level, and we have the impact level. As I'm talking to you now, what we do every single day is at the level of efficiency and effectiveness. Majority of HR professional has not gotten to the impact level. And that is the major reason why CEOs are saying that they are not seeing your impact. As a matter of fact, if they are going to cut budget, it would be HR budget they will cut first. When they're supposed to be increasing your budget, they are cutting your project. It's because you have not gotten to a level of making impact. And that is our goal for today. So we have the efficiency, we have the effectiveness, and what do we really do at the level of efficiency, and what do we really do at the level of effectiveness? As you can see on your screen, for the HR personnel, they will just come up with all this kind of HR metrics: time to hire, cost per hire, head count ratio. Let me ask you this question, as just put yourself in the shoe of the CEO. Time to hire, cost per hire, head count ratio. How does that impact the bottom line of the organization? Let me ask you that question. That is why by the time CEOs see all of this report, they just throw it somewhere. Look at the effectiveness. Now, when you go to the effectiveness, is making sense a little bit. It has begun to making sense. We have the customer survey, then we have the practice and the process, we have the employee satisfaction, leadership capability, talent retention, percentage black belt leaders, employer brand. Is making sense a little bit. Now, efficiency has to do with what you do every day, the activities you do. And let me not lie to you, and let me tell you the truth to your face. Most CEO, the board, I won't lie to you, it's a truth anyway. What I want to say now, they don't really care about what you do every day. They don't really care. They may care about what salespeople do every day. They may not really care about what you do every day. I don't know, am I making sense to you? They may not really care. And by the time you send those reports, they just throw it into this bin. No second thought. because you are not really making a lot of sense out of those. You are not making sense out of the report. So that is level of efficiency, and that's level of effectiveness. So let me ask some of the question here. Now look at this. I said, a major shortcoming in many companies is a lack of measurements on the impact of HR. I'm not talking on the effectiveness of the HR or the efficiency of the HR. I am actually speaking to the impact. So what do you think your CEO, your board, what do you think they are looking for? It is the impact of HR, not just are you effective, are you efficient, So according to this report from SHRIM, Balanced Scorecard Collaborative, it said when executives were asked to select which descriptor best describe the view of HR head in the organization, only 34% indicated that HR was viewed as a strategic partner. So most people don't see you as their strategic partner. Some of them don't even trust you. They don't trust the data you supply. They don't trust you in any way. CEOs are interested to hear about broader workforce analytics that affect the future and the vision of the company. So if your report, if your HR board, if it's not speaking to the future and the vision of the company, they will throw it in the bin. You are your own. So it has to speak to what they want to do in the next 5 years. It has to speak to the strategic vision of the organization. Now, when you look at the role of HR in our organization, let's quickly look at it. We have the strategic partner, we have the change agent, we have the administrative expert, we have the employee relation expert. Most of us, where we have always been operating is at the lower level, which is the administrative expert and the employee relation expert. And if you go and check majority of your reports, that is where it stops. Day-to-day operational focus. That is where your reports stop. Go and check. After now, just go and check all your report. It has something to do with compensation. It has something to do with benefits, HR informational system, the compliance, employee relation, labor relation, safety and workers, diversity. This is where it stops. But some of us that are actually making impact, we go a little bit further. We present ourselves as a strategic partner and as a change agent. That was what I was telling my mentees last week. I said, come, I don't know what you do, but if you really want to get, if you want to get respect from the CEO or anybody you're doing, it is high time we see ourselves as a strategic partner to the CEO, and not just we seeing ourselves like that. We have to make them to see us that way. We have to make them to see us as a change agent. And how do you do that? Strategic impact. And that is why we are here today. So we have to move from those operational, other stuff into strategic impact. At least think like a CEO. Okay, so do we really measure how HR is driving business performance? Are you doing that? What is the effect of HR on the sales team that actually bring the money? What is the effect on their leaders? Do you have a pipeline leadership? How are you measuring them? How can your report find their way into the boardroom and make business sense? So that in the next board meeting, they will say, please come. You know, I don't know. Do you know that if care is not faking, some HR directors, they will send them out of the boardroom? Because I've had cases that some of them, they can't even talk in the boardroom because they will just tell them, what is it? We are not spending any money more. Because anytime you appear at the boardroom, they think you want to go and request for more money. You are coming to request for more money. They don't see any reason you should be part of the meeting. So at the beginning of the year, when you are doing strategic planning, you will even see HR director there. And you are supposed to be part of the strategic planning. Because I don't know. I don't know how many CEO that are here. If your HR director, if your HR is not part of the strategic planning, then what are you doing? How is he going to plan? How is he going to come up with the HR strategy plan? And I can't blame them. It's simply because we are not strategic enough. And they don't really see us that we should be part of that boardroom meeting. And whether you like it or not, people is at the center of every boardroom meetings. You can write it down. People is at the center. So by the time you are going to that boardroom meeting, you need to go with people analytics. You need to show them how what you are doing in HR will make business sense. So like I told you, there is a shift in everything we do. These are the new organizational expectations. Let's quickly look at them. Human capital is increasingly recognized as a critical organizational asset. And that is the way we want them to begin to see us. We are a critical organizational asset. There is a shift, the organizational emphasis from expense control and reduction to ROI and asset enhancement. Can you see the shift? You have to move from expense control and reduction. That is not your job. Please stop that. We are not saying you should not control expenses. We are not saying you should not reduce reduction, but we are trying to say that make business case that has to come with ROI and asset enhancement. HR is increasingly being expected to provide quantitative. Mind you, there are two data sets, the quantitative and qualitative. But this way, we have to combine two. Don't just always go there with something that is a mundane report. Information about the organization human capital. So there's a question here. What metrics do CEO consider important? Number one, maximizing shareholder value. The customers, especially the customers. Then productivity, quality of hires, employee engagement, labor cost and revenue, employee ROI. These are the most really they are considering. And this is where I like the most. As HR personnel, think like a CEO. You can tell yourself this evening, probably you are joining us live, or probably you're watching on YouTube. Tell yourself, as HR personnel, I need to start thinking as a CEO. Somebody was telling me, what do I want to use MBA to do as HR professional? Let me go and do my SPHR, let me go and do my SHRIM XCP or anything like that. Go and do your MBA. Think like a CEO. Do the courses they are doing. Go and do governance. Go and do compliance. Go and do some of these courses that they are doing. Go and do cyber security. Go and do all of those things. Then look at the way you can create a report that we go into organizational outcomes. And the major of them has to do with their customers, their stakeholders. So before you act like a CHROI or HR professional or anything, start thinking like a CEO. That is the best way for you to make a strategic impact on the organization. You know, I told you that I'm just going to talk about the HR analytic processes. So how do you go about it? How do you begin to think like a CEO? How do you get the buy-in? How do you come up with HR meeting that actually make business case? It starts from your HR analytics. And this is the process. Number one, understand the organization business goal. Because everything you do, we come back to that area. That is number one. What is the business goal? What is our CEO thinking now? I could remember, was it last week now or this week, our group head of HR actually have an engagement where I say, come, our direction this year in the next probably 3 or 5 years is that we want to turn this bank, everybody working with us, any talent working with us, we want to talk them into a tech people, that is tech talent. So whether you are HR, you are into tech, whether you are into technology. So number two is identify the metrics to be analyzed to achieve those goals. Don't forget, your metrics must have an alignment, must be synced to the business goal. Number three is collecting and analyzing the relevant data. So if possible, you could have a meeting with those business leaders. What do they consider as a relevant data? The another one is obtaining insight into this data. Don't worry, we are going to talk about that so that we can look at it together. You have to opt insight, move from the area of description. Yeah, diagnosis is okay, but move to the area of prediction and prescriptive. You are providing solutions, you are making predictions, and they begin to respect you more. And the last one is that communicating how this data impacts the organization. So by the time you are bringing those data, it should be able to sync like this. You should be able to follow these processes. Now, quickly look at these. These are the things that your CEO wants you to come with. By the time you are coming in your next board meeting or anywhere they want you to present you, there is a human capital analytics area and there are people analytics area. And when it comes to your human capital analytics area, we have the economic value. Focus on the non-cash value employee performance has on the company. There's what we call the financial value, focuses on the value employee performance has on the company's monetary resources. I met somebody yesterday, and the CEO called the HR personnel and said, because of the delay in your hiring, in your recruitment process, the company has lost 4 million. So the question is this: how did the CEO arrive at that? So there is a data that the CEO has, and he was able to know that if we don't hire within the time specified, the company will lose S, Y, and Z in monetary value. So how did your report turn to a monetary value? Because that is what makes sense to the CEO. Is it turning to a monetary value? ROI. Then what of the people analytics, the business outcomes? Focuses on improving the business outcome. It could be behavioral, it could be the competency level, it could be, as far as it's an outcome. It could be absenteeism. How do we reduce absenteeism? How do we reduce high turnover? Then there's all data-driven approach. Develop data-driven insight for informed decisions that improve the organization's performance. I know all of you are dropping so many in the chat room, so don't worry. I will try to find a way to look at the chat. But let's continue. Okay, these are the most common HR metrics I know that majority of us has been producing, but we are going to be, I will try my best to look into each of these metrics. Then apart from looking into each of these metrics, we look at the way we could produce them in a unique way that will make business sense to the CEO or to the board or to the top management. So we are going to quickly look at the 6 of them: the employee turnover, attrition, flight risk, absence rate, workforce profile metrics, competencies and training metrics. In fact, I do that a lot. Employee engagement metrics, employee productivity metrics, and recruitment quality. We are going to look at this. Okay, so just give me a few minutes. Let me look at what is happening in the chart. Sorry. Okay. I think majority of the thing here has nothing to do with us. Okay, that's a very good question. How can a solo HR move from administrative and employee? Don't worry, I will look at some of these things. I just want to see what my attention is not being called, but I've seen what you are putting there. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's quickly look at each of these. So if you want to move from just all this day-to-day operation reporting, anything like that, and you want to move into something strategic and that has business of value, let's look at some of these things together. You can just pick your pen if you have not been doing that, and let's look at this in short time. So let's look at turnover and absence metrics. So this is how it works. I don't have to be telling you this: the number of employees separation during the year, total number of employees during the year, and this is it. And you know that a turnover, you have to find a way to turn your turnover, like I told you, to economic value. You have to find a way. I just told you a particular CEO made call to their head of HR and said, because of S, Y, and Z, we have lost so number of money. Let me ask you this question. Can you do that for your organization? Is it possible for you to do that for your organization? Is it possible? Because we have lost S, Y, and Z, we have lost this value. It is possible. It is very, very possible. And you know that high turnover is not good for the business. High turnover is not good for the business. So you have to show something like this. Now, look at what I'm trying to do in this place. I am trying to move from just producing a particular data set, 1% per year. That's what majority of you do. You just produce something like this, 1% per year. If you are doing 2023, you just produce 20% or 30% or 15%, and that is the final. That is the final thing you want to produce about your report. You say, okay. Why can't you go for that? When you see something like this, what comes to your mind? When you actually see something like this, I am trying to look at what actually happened in 2012, what happened in 2013, what happened in 2014, what happened in 2015 and what actually happened in 2016. Then before you know this happening, a lot of questions will begin to come in, and we can begin to make a prediction. And we can even go a little deeper. Am I making sense to you? Now I'm going a little bit deeper. Now, what are the reasons that people left the organization? I don't know how many of you that are doing this. Management, general work environment, unsatisfied with pay and benefit, lack of job security, lack of flexibility and work schedule, limited career advancement, promotion, you know, all of those things. When you look at what I'm trying to do in this place, you discover that I am trying to ensure that my data set or my report capture from the description down to the diagnosis, even into prediction, and I could as far move into prescription. So don't just give something. So now I'm moving, I'm making a business case now. What is the cost of employee turnover? So we can say the total cost of losing an employee can, you know, I'm doing so many things now. So we can easily look at cost of hiring a new employee, customer service issues and error because of the turnover, what it will lead to, impact on workplace culture, loss of productivity, expense to onboard and training of new employee. So that is the issue of turnover. I will not just stop at I say our turnover is 20%. How does that help the CEO? How does it help the CEO? So by the time you are creating more, you are making business sense, just employee turnover. What I've just shown you now can help you to make a business sense, and you can begin to make a case, and from there you can begin to provide a solution. What are we going to do with all of this thing? So employee who live within the first 6 months, look at what you are doing now. So we are looking at so many things now. Barely on the board, 35% decided to work was something they didn't want to do. They were given different work than they expected from the interview. Felt that their boss was a jack. Now we are trying to go a little bit deeper. Apology if you are hearing any background noise. You know, I am a father of two, and they are very young, and they always want to be where I am every time. They actually want to do what I'm doing now, and hopefully in the future they will make it to do better than what I'm doing now. So don't let us forget what we are doing right now. So am I making sense to you? So we want to ask another question. What else leads to turnover? We have the push factors, perception of limited opportunity, excessive workload due to managerial inefficiency, absence of community, you know, pull factors. We are looking at the push and the pull. So I'm making a lot of business. I did not just stop at the numbers. We have 30 people that left us. We have people they will just talk and talk and talk. You just look at Mama Alata, Mama Elepo, and you leave the place. They will just look at you and you go away. You're not making any business sense. So let's quickly move into absenteeism. You know, this is how to calculate it, number of worker days lost, you know, this is how to calculate it, you know. I don't have but anyway, don't worry. They are going to make a particular document available to you that can actually enable you to know how to calculate some of these things. But I'm just trying to like make some business case. Now let's look at this thing. Now, by the time I move to this place, I'm making a lot of businesses now. Absenteeism rate by days is there: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We will now begin to ask question. What actually happened on Thursday that is very low on Thursday, 1.1? I'm going to diagnosis. So let's look at what happened over the year. Days lost per employee, because there is a way you can convert days that is lost by employee into economic value. So you can look at all of these things. You can begin to ask questions. What usually happened on Thursday? What happened on Monday? Okay, if we are doing hybrid, should we say, okay, it seems Thursday is okay for our people. Okay, it's also actually, you know, okay, we can go, don't worry, don't come on Monday. Because we don't even know what is happening on Monday, because the absence is very high. By the time you go to the board, you want to make a case, you will make a valid case. Now you're also presenting how it happened for like almost 7 years, in 2015, 2016 to 2022. You are making a lot of business sense. So you are also, okay, don't worry about this, the employee attendance tracker, you don't worry about this. So now we are going a little bit deeper. We are looking at each of the employee, although don't worry, you may have a very large large staff strength. You may not be able to go into this, but whether you like it or not, some organizations have some of this thing I'm showing you now. They have it. At least I work in NZ37 and they have this. We use this for them. For all the staff working in NZ37, we use something like this. As a matter of fact, we also use the productivity, so the productivity timing, such a way that we can determine how much money you lose for not being productive and how much money we gain from being productive. And we also tie it to your salary. Although we are not going to deduct your salary, but we just want to show you we have a way of tracking it, and we track it. So do you have a way of tracking something like this? But be careful if your CEO is a high-debt CEO. If you go and show something like this, it could become a punishment for your staff, and you may not like the outcome. But whether you like it or not, it's a good thing for us to understand how absenteeism leads to productivity, how it affects productivity, and how it affects efficiency and every other thing you are doing in the organization. Now let's quickly move into competency and training metrics. Don't worry, let me look at the time because I know you want to ask questions. Okay, we are just within 1 hour. Okay, at least I'm still within my time. So we have the competencies and training metrics. You know, I am majoring into these two areas, the competency and training. I'm majoring into this area. So, and you know, we have the area. I could remember, okay, let me quickly use EZ37. Okay, and I've said I will not be mentioning organizations. Anyway, I've mentioned, don't worry. You know, we actually want to come up with, apart from we doing training or doing performance management and appraiser, we actually want to tie everything we are doing to the competency framework of the organization. So we had a meeting with the CEO and the board, and we were able to come up with the competency framework of the organization. Then from there, we begin to do some kind of, you know, data set that we're going to get from the staff. And from there, apart from doing performance appraiser, we also have something like this that we use, you know, to track the competency framework of the organization. How many staff do we have that have skills that are in line with the competency framework of the organization? So we have a tracker for each staff. As a matter of fact, we let them fill it, they submit it to their supervisor, and it gets to us. So we have job knowledge, work quality, the attendance punctuality, initiative they are bringing, the communication and listening skills, dependability. It depends, you know, you have to find a way. And even before I left that organization, the way we hire, we use the competency framework to hire in hiring. Are you getting me now? And from the competency framework in hiring, it's turned into our metric that we are following. How many of them, at the point of hiring, how many of them have it? By the time they are going, by the time they settle down, probably in 1 year, it's how many of them have this competency framework? Okay, there's a way you can measure that. And you have to do this. You have to do this. That is how you can make sense to the organization, because you are saying something that has to do with competency framework. And you have a way of tracking it. Yeah, you make a lot of sense to the organization if you can produce that kind of report. So we have your performance report. Anyway, this may not be the same with what we use in everything we are doing. We have the job description, evaluate performance and achieve goals. We have any additional feedback or any other thing like that. I don't know, probably what you use might be different from mine, but the most important thing is that this one is combining competency framework with the annual performance review or performance appraiser or anything. You do all of those things, because whether you like it or not, the CEO will be interested in this kind of report at the end of the year. Do you know that most organizations, their HR don't pay attention to some of this report? It doesn't make it to the board. And this is something that the board is interested in. Okay, so look at this one about the goals. Achieve goals set in previous review. Go for now. Let me quickly say one or two things about this area. You know, I told you I am like where I am working now in FCMB. I apart from working with the L&D, I also work with the performance management. So in order to improve our training or initiatives, this is what we do. We try to say, okay, every employee should go and discuss with their supervisor what they think the goal of coming to training is, what is going to be the outcome of training. And most of the time, those outcomes are tied to the organizational outcome, which is the bigger goal. Okay. So at the end of the day, they will have this kind of discussion and they will be able to agree on goals. So at the end of the day, there could be a data set that showed whether by every department, the goal they have agreed on and how is employees try to drive or achieving those goals. It could be measured. Imagine that you have such a data set and you send it to the business leader of that unit. The person will almost fall in love with you because the person will think that you are working. Listen, most people think we are not working. And the only way we can show that we are working is what I'm showing you now. So a lot of things, sorry, don't worry. Now look at this, training hours. Do you have training hours? Because there is a way you can convert training hours into monetary value. And I am not just going to say for this year, the training hours of that person is 20 or is 14. You can look at the training hours for 5 years, for 10 years, and let's see whether it's growing up or it's coming down. And every month, we look at the average of training hours of every employee. The board wants to know. As a matter of fact, this one is part of compliance. And don't forget, the compliance is part of the outcome that your board is interested in, that all those divisional head, all those people that are interested in. Then what of training by method? Do we use hybrid? Do we use online? Do we use practical in-person? You know, all of these things, these are some of the things. Then all of these things has a way of connecting them to cost. You have to find a way to connect it to cost. And at the end of the day, you can say, okay, it seems we'll not be doing in-person training, or we'll be doing virtual training because we are able to save so amount of cost. You know, I could remember we want to leverage on the amount. You know, they think that although we control costs, but they think that you are the cost center of the organization. But whether you like it or not, you can show them how you save cost for the organization through your initiative. For example, where I'm working presently now, we said, okay, all faculty, we are going to develop internal faculties that we deploy all our trainings. We want to find a way that we could reduce the number of external faculties or facilities we are paying to. So what are we doing internally? We are investing those money to increase our internal faculties. And that is, in fact, there's an initiative we put into that. We call it Project Involve. Everybody's involved. And while we're doing that, we want to, but at the end of the year, thank God, I'm going to produce that report. I want to be able to show my organization how we have saved cost through Project Involve. And from there, by the time we want to come up with another initiative, they won't have any choice but to support our initiative, because we have been able to produce something tangible that show those report. Training by category, who are we training? Specialist, manager, supervisor. Your CEO wants to see something like this. As a matter of fact, if you know, although there could be so many people in your organization, it depends on the strength staff. This may not really work with us, but although we still have to find the way that all of this thing come out by divisions in our own where we are. We find a way to make all of this come back. Then what of qualifications? Want to know how many people, what do we have, the partial order, all of this thing. You have to have something like this by qualification. Don't forget, we are looking at competency area and also trainings. Don't forget, that's what we are looking at. That's what we are looking at. How many bachelor do we have? How many, how many postgraduate diploma do we have? How many master people do we have? How many doctor do we have? It's very, very important. So let's look at achieving results, building strategy, working. Now, these are the business or competency framework area. Do you have something like this? Do you deploy a survey around this area, probably quarterly or half of the year or at the end of the year? You have to deploy a survey that measure the competency framework. Even most organizations do not even have competency framework. They just do everything. Just imagine if your organization don't have competency framework that they work within your organization, please, your initiative starting from Monday will be that one. Just talk to your CEO. Hello, we want to come up with the competency framework. What do you think is going to be the competency area of this organization? At least it could be 5, it could be 8. Come up with the competency framework. They will know you are working and find a way to measure, to gauge it. within the organization and produce a report about it. It can even help your promotion, whether you want to promote people. Some of us, we are promoting people that are not in alignment with our competency framework. And that's why we have some kind of, bad leaders at the top. Okay. There must be a way you measure value, the value of the organization. Okay. So there must be a way. Then we have the job related. Can you see all of them? And we are creating that. Then you can also look at competency from along the training man, the managers, the recruitment officer, the employee engagement, the admin manager, the head of HR. You could have in sales, in all of this thing. You could have something like this for all of them and create a competency. Measure it. Measure it will help your workforce planning. It will even help your workforce planning or succession planning. Let me put it that way. It will help your succession planning. You will know whether you have high quality staff or you don't even have high quality staff. Because most of the time it's when we suffer some people left us that are not supposed to. That will be no, you don't have to. What is the of succession planning? You need predictive and prescriptive analytics for you to determine your succession planning. You can't rely on the diagnosis. You can't even rely on the description. So you have to have something like this. Imagine, can you see the number of data we are gathering now? Now let's go to employee productivity. Yes, your CEO want to know the productivity level of the employee. They are interested. They are interested in something like this. So average profit per employee, you can do it. You can measure it. So in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022, do you know that when you look at from 2019 to 2020, it's increasing. So what it means for me is that if I have more workforce, we can increase our profit. So I can just work with the HR. Okay, it seems you're hiring, you're hiring high quality staff. Let's leverage on your recruitment processes and let's get the best so that we can increase our profit. Now I could tell them, please give us more money or do anything with what I've just shown you now. But if you don't have this kind of data set, what do you think they're going to do? They would think you are a joke. And none of us would. We don't want to be a joke. Revenue for employee. So revenue over, can you say that? And now I'm trying to project here, probably based on inflation or based on what you are thinking. So you can do a projection. Very important. Average profit per employee. You can do something like this. And you show it, it makes business sense. The workforce profile metrics. How do you profile the people in your organization? Male, female, new hire, left employment, or any of this thing. And there are times it goes beyond just saying gender. Because whether you like it or not, the issue of DE, which is DEI, diversity, also playing an important role. So some of these things is that become a compliance thing, and most organizations, because they want to improve their brand, they will be interested in this kind of dashboard or report. They will be interested in this kind of thing. What of by age? We want to know so that you will know who are baby boomers, who are leaving your organization in a few years. This one will help your succession planning. But then you look at the age, who are those less than 30, greater than 30, all those things, you will know that you can also categorize, you can use this one and align it with the competency framework so that you will know whether your organization is already entering into a trouble or not. But if you don't have this kind of data, you can't make informed decisions. You cannot even advise the board. It's very difficult for you. So this kind of data is very, very important, whether by region, where in AU, in UK, or in Yanapaja, or in Oyo, or in Ibadan. You can do Ibadan, Oyo by Ibadan, all those stuff. Okay, so that's that. But then what of employee engagement metrics? Employee satisfaction with workforce, okay. Employee satisfaction with workforce, you could do something like this. Are they satisfied? Are they dissatisfied? What of satisfaction by income in terms of their salary, in terms of commission? You can do something like this. Although CEO doesn't want to look at this, but whether you like it or not, it is part of the thing that can make business sense. You can produce something like this so that probably the next 2 or 3 years, by the time they keep seeing this kind of report, they can make a decision at the board meeting that, okay, we want to increase income, or we want to increase commission, or want to do anything, the S1 and Z that they really want to do. So we can also look at this area: people and culture, corporate reputation and practices, reward and recognition, workforce, industry, opportunity and growth. And these are the core area of engagement. These are the major core area of engagement. And there is a way you measure all of these things. There's a way you measure it. By the time you send your, we call it NPS, EMPS, IMPS. By the time you send at the end of the year, it's supposed to happen like twice in a year, half year and the final. You can gauge the employee engagement of your workforce. Do you have such data? Look at the data, what you're trying to do here in terms of employee engagement drivers. We have the employee brand, leadership, performance, the work, the basic, the company practices. In terms of how many of them are you training on leadership? What of the area of performance, the career opportunity, the work? You could gauge all of this. So what are they saying? Why is it that people are leaving and why are people staying? So all of these are very important. So we have the engagement drivers, we have the engagement outcome, and we have the business outcome. Some of these things, when you have a way of tracking them, it will help you to make business sense to the organization. I love this. I love what I wanted to I want to show you here. I love it very, very well. And when it comes to employee engagement, these are the core area you need to seriously look at, which is very, very important. All our initiatives, probably employee engagement initiatives, are they fostering relationship and community? Do they serve our customers? Do they attain genuine happiness? Do they leverage energies? Do we develop professionally or personally? Do we identify with the organization? And I have this acronym called CARE. We connect, we are authentic, we recognize, and we engage. So there is a way you can track all of this in this area. Okay, there's a way you can track all of this in this arena. And this is how to make impact in the organization. Engagement is the key. So when you talk about work, we look at their sense of accomplishment. We look at the work task. We look at the resources. Do they have, there's what we call organizational resources. And there's a theory around that, which has to do with organizational resources. So are they getting support from their supervisor? You can even gauge it. Just one survey will do that. Rate your support from your organization, and you will get it. Rate your sense of accomplishment, you will get it. Just one survey. You just throw it. It could be in the morning or Mondays. You could do one on Friday. What of opportunities, career opportunity, learning and development, quality of life, procedures, compensation, people. I think I remember we did something like this in our organization around January, February. Just 5. And it engaged our engagement at the level of the organization. So at the end of the day, you can come up with, okay, among our organization, which one do we have now? Okay, we have people that are very highly engaged, or they are not engaged, almost engaged, not engaged, or disengaged. You could come up with a lot of this thing, and you can find out what are their motivators, what are their demotivators. So if you do a survey around this Maslow hierarchy of needs, you will come up with something. And by the time some of this thing gets to the board, they will love you for sending it to them. I wouldn't know what I'm making a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm already rounding up. So what are the recruitment metrics? What are we looking at? Cost per hire, all these things are very important. The sources, where do we get them from campus interview, career fair, recruitment vendor, employee referral, web group, job portals, print media, and you could come up with some of this thing. So where are we spending more? And some of us now, we don't even know where it's cheaper to recruit, and don't target because of cost reduction, you're going to be recruiting low quality staff. No, we have to balance cost reduction with effectiveness. Okay, we have to find a way to balance it. If you are reducing costs by recruiting from probably employee referral or from LinkedIn, for example, over the years now, we have discovered that LinkedIn helps us to reduce costs and also to hire effectively. So some people, they just spending more money on LinkedIn. Why some people, they believe that, okay, we could do employee referral. It may not even cost you any, probably, I don't know how many of you that are paying our employee for referring people. I don't think it's more, it's like they are doing it really here. I think they do it more in abroad or anything like that. But what is what I'm trying to say? You have to find out which area is your hiring process more effective. That is where you hire from. Which one is more effective? You have to find a way to look into that. And from those, your HR dashboard can actually look something like this. It will determine your recruitment effectiveness. It will determine employee engagement. It will look at compensation. It will look at top talent turnover. And there are so many things you could actually, this is a HR board dashboard that you are seeing here. And within a twinkling of an eyes, we can begin to make decisions based on what we are seeing, in this place. Then we have the HR management dashboard, the total employee, the key metrics, employee turnover, speed to hire, operations, employee churn, all of this thing. Do we gain? Do we lose? In what year? In what month? Is what you could come up with as many, some of these things that you can come up with. So as I'm rounding up, how do you determine the right metrics? Number one thing, this is a question you need to ask. How does the organization make money? What factors impact sales? What factors impact expenses? What factors impact the bottom line? What business metrics are currently being in use? What are the organization major stakeholders? Who are HR customers? Ask questions, sit down. You can even form a team of people that deliver your HR metrics. Like you form a committee or you form a project team that is going to be handling this. Okay, you have to make them to work together, and they have to, because for it to be effective, make people work together and get those data together. What are the best practices? Create an HR business metrics team. Like I just told you, don't forget HR business metrics team. So get a team from finance, get a team in all of your team, choose them, probably the head or somebody to work with, or you can even, and give them a project lead. Okay, this is our HR business team, metrics team, and this is your project lead. Just somebody that, identify and catalog HR business metrics currently in use. I won't lie to you, we are leveraging some of this thing where I'm actually working, especially in my own business unit. We are leveraging the issue of teams. We have a team that work on our metrics. Determine how these metrics are currently being used. What message do they convey about what the organization considers important, and what consequences or intended or otherwise have resulted from their usage. Ensure that currently used or proposed metrics are aligned with current and future organizational objectives. Let me quickly re-emphasize on that. Ensure the past or the current metrics being in use are aligned with current and future organizational objectives. Like I told you, I said, think like the CEO, think like the business leaders, but before you begin to think as HR practitioner, because if you don't think like them, you may not be able to supply wonderful metrics or impactful metrics that will impact the bottom line. So how do you start now? So there is a step to start. Find a leader with a problem. Ask them what is the problem, what is the objective, persuade them or how to let you use analytics to solve those problems. Figure out what metrics or outcome may be relevant, predictor, or then collect the data. Create a combined score, regression formula that predict the desired outcome. And let me quickly talk about that level of prediction, or by the time, there are a lot of analysis that have to do with relationship, regression analysis, all of those things. It will be technical, but don't worry, you can go and learn more about it, because that is where it works. Because if you're going to do a prediction, then you have to be very good on, regression analysis, Ancover, Decover, and some of these, and strata, all of those things. You have to know how to make use of them. Then we have to initiate the intervention based on what you have learned and measure change of performance over time. Don't just do that year alone. Gather all the years together. Ask for data. If I get the organization now, the first thing I will ask for is all your data. Supply all the reports you have been doing. Supply me like 5 years or 10 years, because I want to look at what is happening. That is how I will come up with initiative. And for what is happening, you are doing well. And the CEO is thinking that you are really doing well. So I said HR analytics team wanted, find a business leader who is willing to partner on an analytic project to solve a problem, e.g. reducing the turnover or accident. Listen, when you want to go into your metrics initiative, please identify problems. As we speak to you right now, we are running some kind of analytics in our organization, as in it's like how do I put it? It's our own initiative. And now that's what we call a productivity tools challenge. As in now we provide the platform and we make people to take advantage. So you can say, okay, we have identified this problem in our organization, probably absenteeism, or your turnover is very high, or you have seen some kind of sales volume dropping, low sales or anything like that. Identify that problem, then get data from the business point of view or an even HR point of view, and create something around it. It's an initiative. Then begin to advise the business, but you can't do that until you have data to prove what you are doing. So create a project team, e.g., borrow talent from other departments, leverage the local. Probably you could actually work with external vendors. You could work with people outside your organization. So there are ways of doing that. Get a small way and then promote the success. Repeat above processes. Keep doing it until you master it. Okay. So tell yourself, I will keep doing this, providing the right metrics, working with doing HR analytics, working with my team to ensure that we supply the best HR analytics metrics to our board or to our business leaders. So once you know that you are not doing you will know. By the time you are getting results, you will definitely know. So you can begin to ask for resources, probably to get more analysis team onto you. Probably they want to recruit or they want to hire an analytics person to join. And I won't lie to you, it makes business sense to say, okay, apart from a performance person or any person, hire an HR analytics to come in. These people, there's going to be a specialist. That's what they do. So you have to do all of this thing, review your organization strategy, objective, and select a problem or question to address. Find out what data to be used to predict the future. So I'm actually going to stop in this place. Don't forget, my name is Fola Vincent. I'm a talent management strategist and I'm a consultant and coach. You can actually reach out to me on that and on my LinkedIn, and that's where I'm going to stop today. Hello, Adeosun, are you there? Thank you. This is where I'm going to stop today. Adeosun, are you there?
Thank you. This is real fire. Explosive, insightful, wonderful, comprehensive, robust. This is way too much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take advantage of this opportunity. We can see many indications around appreciation in words, with emojis. Thank you for expressing your appreciation to our facilitator. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. We can never over-express our gratitude to our facilitator for tonight. If you want to quickly ask 1 or 2 questions before you are invoiced, please raise your hands. We will recognize you and you can ask your questions directly. And if you also want to type the question, you can quickly do so. We have about 6 more minutes to take Q&A, if any. You can also type your question. The encomiums are still coming in fast and furious. I can't see any virtual hands up, and that's a good sign. Let's see anyone. I think I see one hand. Victoria, please go ahead with your question, please. Vicky Love, go ahead with your question.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. Thank you very much, Mr. Fola. This is wow. So my question is, I was looking at the data. I could see that you, like the one where you started from 2012 down to the present year. So I was now wondering, what of an HR that is just getting to an organization? How can such HR still measure all of these things when he or she probably doesn't know what has happened in the past, and probably they haven't even been doing this in the past? So how can you still measure those metrics when you don't have these records? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that most times HR don't usually keep their data. And that's and thank God we have how many do we have here now? We have close more than 100 people here that are HR professional. Please keep your data. It may not be because of, like I told you, those data are not really because of you. It's not because of us. It's because of the business. So keep them. If you leave the organization, leave their data for them so that anybody coming in, they will be low leverage. Now, Tolulope, you are not the only one that have that kind of challenges. And I could remember any organization I enter, I usually have that kind of challenges. So the question is, what did I do? I know that if I don't have data from them, at least I could leverage on my own data that I want to create. So it depends on the number of years you are spending in an organization. So if you have started spending 3, 4, 5 years, automatically you have the data to use for your prediction and for your prescription, the prescriptive data analytics. However, if you work very well with the CEO or with the IT staff, they could leverage on their expertise or to help you get this data for your use. But in a case that you don't really have, you don't have access to this data, what it means is that, okay, you will have to start doing the right thing by creating those data and store them, clean them and store them and make use of them. So that by the time you have 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it will be enough for you to start using predictive analytics and even prescriptive. Then even if you have 1 or 2, 3 data, like, you could start using forecasting. Like you have to say that, to forecast, it means that you have to think ahead, think in a very broad way and using the data you have. So from there, you can create some kind of data set for yourself. So like I said, every one of us, we have the issue. It's a serious challenge for all of us. And it is something we need to end. And that is the essence of this meeting today, so that we could value data and keep them. And even our archive. So you could ask, is it your archive? But if you don't see any data, then don't worry. Start creating your own data until you can make use of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Francis, your hands are up. Please ask your question. Steve, I will also make you a co-host. I see your hands. I will also make Grace a co-host. Francis, if you are available, click directly to your question. Okay, Francis may not be available.
Okay, there's a question here. Let me quickly say it out from Shioma Odukwe. She said, what tools can we use to send surveys to employees? So depending on the software that your organization use, like for example, in my organization, we leverage on Microsoft 365, and it enables us to use it for survey. And apart from that, there are some other platforms you can make use of. And even though you don't want to invest in survey, like make additional purchase on some kind of vendor, you could actually use Google Form. And I've used Google Form, although it has no limitation. It depends on the staff strength of the organization, but at least Google Form can still process close to like 1,000 staff. I've used Google Form that analyze data sets of 600 staff members, but I use Google Form. So you can actually leverage your Google Form onto your organization will be able to purchase some of these Survey Monkey, all of these things. There are very many over there that you can actually use, okay? So you can use as many as possible. Some of them even have a template that you can use, whereby you just adapt to the survey you actually want to use. So thank you so much, Shioma.
Okay, Grace, okay, quickly ask your question. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, sir, for this section. So a quick one. My question is, how do you measure services? So because we do performance management, and as much as possible, we want to try to reduce biases. So, but how do you measure an employee service? For instance, let me give an example of a customer service. How do you measure our communication skills with customers? So what metrics? So I'm trying to ask question around services. Yes.
Now, like I told you, what we're about to do is not really about HR. And what we're going to do is that we look at the business outcome. And I will quickly tell you some key area of business outcome, which I've already mentioned, which I've mentioned today. And that is about the customers, okay? We have the customers, we have the financial, we have the issue of employee brand or reputations, things like that. So let's quickly focus on the customers. You know, whether you like it or not, one thing that could determine whether customer stays within the organization or not has something to do with the staff. Okay, so you can begin to ask these questions. Who are our customers? Okay, then what is the business metrics? You know, I'm not talking about HR metrics now. What are the business metrics that we can use to know, to understand whether we are having business outcome, business successes, or HR is actually doing well? For example, number one, you can look at their acquisition, you can look at their retention, you can look at their experiences, okay? You can look at the time it takes them, we call it TNT, the times it takes them for time for resolution. That is, you solve their problems. Are you getting me now? So, and in most organizations, they usually deploy MPS, IMPS, and EMPS every half of the year. They usually do that as part of the performance management or performance appraiser. And this is what we do in our organization. Now, for you as HR, they will gauge you based on the business unit you interact with. As a matter of fact, you might likely be interacting with all business units. And there are some quality improvement team. You know, I told you, you can actually set up a metrics team that will track some of these things. So these people will actually send out a survey and ask. So the people in your improvement, it depends on how you call them in your organization, probably the quality control or the compliance or anything like that. People that actually improve your processes, they improve customer service, continuous improvement. They will send out survey to the customers and to just hear about their experiences. And, you know, in times, you know, there could be so many, there could be criteria. You have come up with your indicators. So it is very important that at the beginning of the year, you have a business objective, a business outcome that talk about all of this, because that is what you are going to measure at the end of the day. So for you as HR, it means that we can only measure your HR services by sending survey to staff or business leaders or business unit. Now, for us now, you know, I told you I handled the training department of our organization. So there's what we deploy what we refer to as the internal satisfaction survey. Internal satisfaction survey. So the internal satisfaction survey will help us to gauge the level of confidence of staff on us. And apart from the level of confidence of staff on us, it will also enable us to know whether our training is effective or the services we are trading, whether they are effective or they are not effective. So what it means is that you have to sit down and come up with objective, come up with outcome, and come up with output of all your services. So that by the time you send those survey, it will capture the business objective. I don't know whether I have been able to like give you what you want. Have I answered your question? Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir. Steve Oji, do you have a question? Mr. Steve Oji, do you have a question? If you do, just unmute and ask. Okay, I think there is a question on the group from Otolawale Olayinka. I'm not sure if we have attended it already.
Yeah, I could see it now. It said, as L&D personnel in a company that does not really value training, what are the metrics that can be presented to buttress the value of training? Like I told you, okay, for me, in my firm, you know, I work in the training academy of FCMB. By December, we begin to interact with all business leaders. Now, what are we going to do with them? We want to identify, number one, their business goal, initiatives, what they consider outcome, then the training needs for their business unit. We are also going to work with the staff, but we just want to listen to the leaders and be able to capture what they think is their business objective. Don't forget, we still have the general one, which is the organizational objective. But since we are working with the business unit, so that we capture their business objective. So by the time we are deploying training, it will enable us to measure the impact of our training. And by the time we measure the impact of our training, we'll be able to create a report or a dashboard that we're going to send to them. Now, we usually make use of Kirkpatrick 4-level of evaluation. And like I told you, though as good as level 1, me, I don't work at that level, like sending it to those people. I don't do it. Level 2 is good, but it stays with us. But it begins to make sense from level 3 and level 4. Or if you now had Phillips ROI to it, which is level 5 now. So from level 3, it talks about outcome. If the organization are facing absenteeism, behavioral issues, level 3 will help you to capture it. So by the time you capture the behavioral level of the staff, and based on what the business leaders have told you, don't forget, we are tying the training initiative to those business objectives. Oh, we want to reduce absenteeism. Oh, we want to increase team effectiveness. We discover that our people are working in silos, and we want to reduce it. We want to increase team collaboration. So that is where our training will target. So at the end of the training, by the time we are doing the level 3 of the Kirkpatrick evaluation, it will enable us to target it. Then don't forget, because they are unable to work in a team, it will affect sales. It will affect business productivity, or the team productivity, and also affect the outcome, which has to do probably finance. So we will also, by the time we are deploying our survey, I wish I can show you a sample of my survey, assuming it is allowed, but I may not be able to show you. But probably after this, this training, we can talk one-on-one. We can talk about it, and we'll look at it together. Okay. So level 3 and level 4 will enable you to create a dashboard or a report that will enable people to love what you are doing in training. They will love what you are doing in learning, and they will want to make investment, or they want to do anything that, no matter what you want to tell them, even from the report, they'll begin to want to do more with you. That is how it works. So if your training has not been capturing level 3, level 4, and the Philip ROI, then you are not doing well. There's nothing they can do with your level 1 and level 2. It won't make it to the board. By the grace of God, my report has made it to the board. And during town hall meeting, it was read. It was read as this is what we are doing. And everybody, yeah, that is joy. When CEO could leverage on your report and say, this is what we are, yeah, that is the beauty. And they won't do that at level 1 and level 2. If you don't know about Kirkpatrick evaluation, please go and learn about it, or Philip. Every other thing, I leave it down. But when it comes to the issue of the level 3, level 4, and going to level 5, I am there. And by the time you finish your report, come back and tell me that they won't like training. They will value training. So that is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We can continue forever, but we need to wrap up.
You're right.
So that the other stakeholders in the family can release daddy to us another day. Sir, I promise you'll be back by God's grace. We'll work out a convenient date and topic for you. I would like you to come back in August. This has been phenomenal. Of course, I expect
that's even my leave period. So that's good. At least it's my leave period. We're able to do a lot of things together. Thank you so much.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we see you and we appreciate you. Oga Victor Adebayo, I see you. Thank you for joining tonight, as always. Thank you, everyone. Please, let's catch some sleep. Tomorrow is another beautiful day. Au revoir. Good night, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless, sir.
You're welcome. You're highly welcome. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I will say bye. Thank you.